Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Clackamas County Board of Commissioners Issues and Updates on July 18, 2023. County Administrator Gary Schmidt, what's up first?
Thank you, Chair Smith. All commissioners are present. Commissioner Savas is on his way. We're going to jump ahead on the agenda. We're going to start with a wildfire update. There is an active wildfire in Clackamas County. Daniel Neibauer, Interim Director of Disaster Management, will give you an update and then answer your questions. Go ahead, Daniel.
Welcome, Daniel.
Good morning, Chair Smith, Commissioners, Administrator Smith. As you're aware, on Sunday, July 16th at about 12:45, Estacada Fire District responded to a fire just off of 224, about 6 miles southeast of Estacada on Weyerhaeuser land. ODF and the Forest Service responded as well. By mid-afternoon, there was also 1 helicopter and 2 planes fighting the fire. By Sunday evening, the fire had grown to about 20 acres, and Fire Command requested that the Sheriff's Office issue a Level 1 Be Ready evacuation alert, and Disaster Management sent that alert at 6:30 p.m. on Sunday. Through Sunday night and Monday, the fire only grew to about 30 acres with a lot of activity in the interior, trees torching and a lot more burning on the inside. Fortunately, not too much on the perimeter. ODF took command of the fire on Monday, and additional assets came in, including the Coffee Creek Correctional Crews, Bureau of Land Management, and Weyerhaeuser Resources. The weather yesterday and last night really helped the fire crews. As of this morning, the fire is at 38 acres and it contained 35%. Fire crews are working on a full suppression strategy for this fire. It is a difficult fight with a lot of steep terrain. The biggest concern is spread to the west, down into the river valley, towards a campground and an RV park, as well as to the north to Tumala Road. The majority of the containment efforts are being done there at this point. The weather is of slight concern. Today and tomorrow are going to be telling on the potential fire growth and the continued need for the evacuation levels. The Sheriff's Office is evaluating the evacuation levels daily with the Fire Command. There is a red flag today from Salem South from 2 to 7 p.m., but not for Clackamas County. It isn't forecasted to affect Clackamas County, but Disaster Management will be monitoring those conditions.
Thank you for that. I want to thank Portland General Electric for the new technology that they have installed. I viewed their facility, their brand new facility, and how it works internally. And so we were able to rely on some of their cameras that you said in one of your briefings. Now, this started on Weyerhaeuser land. Was there commercial operations being conducted at the time or after or before this happened?
They haven't determined a cause. There is slash piles and young trees that are burning.
Slash piles, and usually it's prescribed burning for slash piles. Did the Oregon Department of Forestry issue a burning permit for slash piles in this area?
I don't believe there was a prescribed burning going on. That they haven't determined the cause of the fire, so I don't know if there was a permit.
Well, I think we need to check on that also. And then one of the pictures that I saw, it appeared to me, even though smoke was coming up, that this area had been logged because it was a very much different color than the trees standing next to it. So I am suspicious about the cause of this fire. And Daniel, if this is going on, if the State of Oregon Department of Forestry is continuing with the prescribed burns on slash burning after clear cuts, I think we need to say something, or somebody needs to look at this policy. I don't know if that's the case, but I'm looking at the pictures. The pictures are very telling. Commissioners, they're all in your email to that. Commissioner West.
Thank you for the photos and the update yesterday in our email. Appreciate that. And very concerned about this fire, and I've already posed some questions to Gary offline, which I know you're working on to help me understand. It looks like those PGE cameras did help identify this specific fire before it became too big, and I'm glad that 35% is contained. I pray to God the rest becomes quickly contained. My other question is around the fire that we heard about last week in Wasco County, close to Clackamas, also neighboring, it's just a hop, skip, and a jump right here in Clackamas County. And so do we have any information on the progress of that fire that had doubled in size? And I don't know what its containment is like or its threat to Clackamas County. I was hoping you might be able to speak to that today.
Certainly can. That is the Boulder Fire. And it is just on the border of Wasco and Hood River County, just east of the Clackamas County border. It is estimated about 233 acres burned. That estimation has stayed the same since about July 13th, so the fire has not grown very much. The percentage of containment increased yesterday to 46%. They are also doing a full suppression strategy on that fire. They have 370 total personnel on that, including 1 fixed-wing aircraft and 3 helicopters. They have a solid containment line on the west side of the fire, which is the side toward Clackamas County. So that's good. And for both fires, the winds are coming out of the northwest, so it should be, any movement of the fire should be away from that direction. Of course, terrain changes that too, but they've put containment line on the west side of that fire.
I guess my follow-up question is, I know these things are unpredictable for sure. How do we, what is our thought currently on the data we have and what we know on the possible threat of this current fire getting out of control and in losing ground with it and seeing it become even a bigger problem that it is? I just kind of want to understand the risk and threat based on what we know today on where things are projecting.
The Boulder Fire in Wasco or the
Both.
224 fire? The Boulder Fire in Wasco, it sounds like ODF is very confident that they have that contained and will continue to move in that direction. I'd say it's pretty similar on the 224 fire. Talking with Fire Command and Estacada Fire, they sound pretty confident, but today, as the temperatures increase from today and tomorrow, are really going to be telling to see how it goes, plus how they can manage firefighter safety versus the rough terrain. It is very steep terrain in there. There is also a natural barrier of a creek on one side that's going to help hopefully create a line. If it's not even gotten to that yet, but that would help be another containment line if it gets that far. So no guarantees. As you said, it's very uncertain the way the fire goes, but in both fires, they sound fairly confident of being able to contain the growth. And they are going for full suppression, so they're not just going to contain it, they're going to go in and mop up.
Thank you.
Commissioner Scholl.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Niebauer, for your work this weekend. From the time that the fire was detected until the time ODF had air assets on the fire, was Clackamas County and Disaster Management happy with that response time?
I would have to look at the exact timing there, but yes, by the time that I was getting in touch with Fire Command, they had the two aircraft and the helicopter, 2 fixed wing and the helicopter on that fire. So it was
Yeah,
very
I
quick.
think, because I was watching it from my house, and as I recall, it was only a couple hours before I saw aircraft on that fire. So that, I want to know that, because in 2020, we had some problems with response time getting air assets on fire. So again, I just wanted to know if you're happy and if Estacada Fire was happy in ODF's response time.
Yeah, I believe so. The biggest obstacle to getting those aircraft working was actually getting people off of the lake. The aircraft can't dip into the lake when people are on it. So, and I know sheriff's
interesting.
deputies and others helped to clear that lake as quick as possible. But the aircraft were on scene before they could dip.
Yeah, okay, good, thanks.
Yeah, and again, this goes to causation. Considerable amount of resources, and Clackamas County has put out for a fire that was on a commercial piece of property. Daniel, please, let's try to figure out, Gary, the causation of this. Thank you very much. We appreciate your efforts on this, and appreciate the notifications. I was alerted on my phone. Ding, ding. You probably were too, Commissioner Scholl.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, but you have to be in the area.
Well, and one comment on that too, Chair Smith. Mr. Niebauer, I saw the first smoke right after noon. And my alert didn't come on my phone until 5:50. And I wasn't really sure if that was correct or not, if there shouldn't have been something before.
No, the alert came out when, after Estacada Fire, in conjunction with talking with Sheriff's Office, decided this fire could be
Okay.
a potential threat.
Yeah, good.
And I will say the alert, the alerting happened slightly different than we typically would have done it, because there was a campground in an RV park where people could
Yeah.
not opt in, so we had to send the wireless alert, which meant that the alert went wider
Yeah.
than we intended, but since there were people that don't live in that area on an
I
everyday
see.
basis,
You are, excellent, thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Daniel. Gary, what's next?
All right, so Daniel, please, we'll continue to keep you updated via email, and if it grows or gets more dire, we'll let you know immediately, Commissioners. Thank you, Daniel. All right, Chair, would you please convene as the Water Environment Services Board?
I will recess as the Board of County Commissioners and convene as a Water Environment Services Board.
This is request for consent agenda for Water Environment Services. Item 1, approval of a personal services contract with Carollo Engineers for engineering services for the Tri-City Water Resource Recovery Facility Influent Pump Station Expansion Project. Contract value is $1,699,131. Funding through Water Environment Services Sanitary Sewer Construction Fund. No county general funds are involved. Ron Waringa, Assistant Director of WES, go ahead.
Thank you, Gary. Good morning, Chair Smith and members of the board. I'm Ron Waringa with Water Environment Services. Before you this morning, we have a request to approve a contract with Carollo Engineers for engineering services for the Influent Pump Station Expansion Project at WES's Tri-City facility in Oregon City. This particular pump station lifts flow at the facility that arrives by gravity from Oregon City, Westland, and Gladstone. This design phase of the project will include selection of new pumps and drives sized for projected 2040 influent flows that are based on both our Willamette facility plan projections and detailed modeling conducted as part of our sanitary sewer master plan. The project is in the adopted FY 23-24 capital budget and is proceeding on schedule as outlined in our approved capital improvement plan. Following a competitive selection process, WES selected Carollo Engineers to serve as the design consultant for this project. Bid-ready design documents will be developed for the recommended improvements, and the project will be competitively bid to a contractor to construct the project. Staff recommends the board approve the contract with Carollo Engineers for the Influent Pump Station Expansion Project at Tri-City. Thank you.
Questions or comments?
Yes, I have a question.
Go ahead.
I know that's a lot of money just for the engineering. What's the rough estimated cost for the project itself to actually make those mechanical changes, if you will, or the construction aspect of it?
That is a good question, Commissioner. I don't have the number for the total project off the top of my head. I should, but I can get that to you very quickly.
Yeah, this is more like a down payment. I'm sure my colleagues are probably aware maybe that this is going to be a lot more than 1.6 million.
Yeah, it's 1.6 million for design, and just receiving the number, it's $4.5 million to construct the project based on the estimate in the Willamette Facilities Plan.
Okay.
Any other comments? Seeing no objections, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Chair, would you please reconvene as the Board of County Commissioners?
I will recess as a Water Environment Services and convene as a Board of County Commissioners.
Next is consent agenda requests for the Board of County Commissioners. First up, elected officials. These are both for the Sheriff's Office. Item 1, approval of an intergovernmental agreement with Portland State University National Policy Consensus Center for Phase 2 of the Clackamas County Local Public Safety Coordinating Council Equity Plan. Agreement value is $30,000 for 1 year. Funding through the Oregon Criminal Justice Commission. No county general funds are involved. Captain Malcolm McDonald from the Sheriff's Office. Go ahead.
Thank you. Good morning, Chair Smith and Commissioners. Malcolm McDonald, Captain of the Sheriff's Office over Adult Parole and Probation. Also, I serve as the Chair of the Local Public Safety Coordinating Council. Here today, we're continuing with a project we've been working on with LIPSIC. This is Phase 2. We've been working with the National Policy Consensus Center on this for both phases. This will continue work to look at the impact of equity in Clackamas County on the justice system. Really our focus that LIPSIC has wanted to focus on as a group is the makeup of LIPSIC, the purpose of LIPSIC. We want to ensure that members have a clear understanding, and do we have an appropriate representation on LIPSIC for Clackamas County and what that looks like. Also, one of the big areas of focus is data. I think the group as a whole and our electeds on there, from the DA to myself, of what data we have and what that shows we're doing that we lack in that area. So some work will be focused in that area. These will really, NPCC will focus on bringing us together as LIPSIC members to do some training, some conversations, and kind of continue that work and try to set some goals for LIPSIC moving forward. So kind of a broad overview of what's already written there. Any questions?
Questions or comments? Go ahead.
I do.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ben was on the queue, sorry,
Okay,
Paul.
good.
Either way.
Go ahead, turn your light on, commissioners, if you want to speak. Ben?
Question, can you expand a little bit on what the Safety Coordinating Council, I'm abbreviating this, on the equity plan, when you say representation, how do you dictate who and what is represented on this specific?
So LIPSIC by statute has certain members that are required to be a part of it.
Like?
Myself, as I oversee adult community corrections, that's a statute. The DA, the sheriff, a member of the board of commissioners, the juvenile director, and our behavioral health director. And we have expanded. We have a citizen member. We have a representative from the chiefs of police that are on it, and we can choose other members and expand beyond that should we choose. We could choose to have, like one area what maybe is we know the justice system has a vast overrepresentation of people suffering from mental illness. So maybe someone that has a lived experience that has been through the system that suffers from mental illness or those are thick conversations we may have about. So we can have, LIPSIC can decide to expand that membership. And really there's some focus with LIPSIC on what we want to do besides statutory requirements. Statutory required to review justice reinvestment, or now it's referred to Justice Reinvestment Program, JRP, the progress reports, the Community Corrections Plan, which also becomes before the board, the biennial plan that I present. There's some juvenile items that LIPSIC is required to do. So there's a few statutory requirements. Beyond that, we can do more or less. We can keep it that way. Often I describe in LIPSIC as chair or not that we're here to discuss items or vote on items or approve items that I bring to the table.
Is there ever preference given based on anybody's race or immutable traits to be on this? Like when we say like we have to pick, based on what you told me, like we have to pick somebody,
No,
or
we
we
don't.
pick people on the board for equity purposes? Like I'm just
No,
kind of curious,
but-
like how we pick people from the community specifically.
We have a citizen member. That's a process that comes through the BCC. There's, like I said, statutory. We haven't had the discussion. We haven't had someone that represents that may have lived experience. That may be a discussion. We can come up with that as far as LIPSIC of who we want to add to that.
Okay.
By any means, do they represent the justice system that may have input or experience that can help us make decisions? I mean, it's a committee that has voting and it's majority. But again, statute dictates who are required to be there and what is required to go before LIPSIC. We can look at examples around the state. LIPSIC operates differently in all the different counties. So part of that discussion is looking at like, how does it operate in Marion County? How does it operate in maybe Douglas County versus how we do that? And do we want to make changes? Maybe we want to keep LIPSIC as merely the mechanism that is statutory required and keep the membership to that and continue doing that. So really it's an opportunity for discussion. Part of this work is to help in strengthening our application process for justice reinvestment, which is several $1 million that comes to us now, the sheriff's office, but operates expansion, like CSAP money goes to CSAP. So there's important programs that we utilize that money, and that Criminal Justice Commission has certain requirements, and this is a way to help ensure that we are strong applicants to that. But your question, we haven't made specific requirements outside of what are in the bylaws now. Those bylaws, county council can provide, or I can provide to you.
Great answer, and thank you for that work.
You're welcome.
Any other comments?
Yeah.
Commissioner Savas?
Yeah, so I know there's been a lot of conversation amongst the board and people presenting on the issue about equity, diversity, and inclusion. And obviously, that's essentially, I'm asking the question, I want to lead you into it, but is that a requirement?
A requirement of justice reinvestment and the Criminal Justice Commission is to look at how the justice system may impact some communities in our county, for instance. And one challenge we have in this county is data. and the DA and myself too, that is we've looked at that and we've brought that up and kind of like, we need to see the overarching, like 30,000-foot view of how someone travels through the justice system in Clackamas County. Are we doing a good job, or are we doing a bad job in certain areas? Is there a way we can impact a particular community, whether that is race, disability, socioeconomic, that maybe we can reduce the number of people coming to jail for certain reasons if we can see that could be prevented. It could be how we, what services we provide in a particular community. We don't have really good data to say what we're doing good or what we're doing bad. Where do we need to improve? As we all know, I mean, the data side of things is not a inexpensive thing to do. When we talk about taking all our law enforcement, all our the court system, everyone has a different impact on the justice system. We all, in how someone enters it and how someone exits it. Obviously, my specialty is individuals that have already been in the system and how we can impact there. We try to focus on that and be responsive to the individual that is before us and provide them the services that are necessary, so.
I guess I want to get in, as earlier you mentioned that by doing these steps, it strengthens your application.
Yeah, that we're having the conversation and we're looking for ways to make improvements, or just looking for ways to identify if we need to make improvements.
Yeah, I guess I want to trying to draw out here really essentially is that, just make the case that in so many of the applications we have, looking at all those communities, if you will, and being able to check the box, very simply put, checking the box, but not just checking the box as far as an action, but making sure that we're doing, I mean, that's what makes our ability to get a grant in the first place, and not being able to fulfill that jeopardizes that, whether it's transportation or it's your work or, mental health or housing services, all those things play a role. I'm just trying to say that absent some of these partners, it becomes, or consulting those partners, it makes your application weaker. Yes, no?
When it comes to the local public safety coordinating council, I think it's a discussion amongst the whole group. And for me, for applying for justice reinvestment programs, there are some, there's information I have to talk about who I've engaged in or what LIPSIC is doing to address, where there may be disparity in the community. And that can look many different ways.
Okay.
Commissioners, we need to move along. We have a lot of business to conclude. We can talk about this, so thank you very much for coming forward. I see no objections. Up next, Gary.
Still with the Sheriff's Office, item 2, approval of a personal services contract with EverHealth for comprehensive correctional, medical, dental, pharmaceutical, and mental health services at the Clackamas County Jail. Total contract value is $32,758,411.32. For 5 years. Funding is through the Public Safety Local Option Levy Funds and $23,586,056.15 in budgeted county general funds. Captain Lee Eby from the Sheriff's Office, and I'm sorry, I don't know who you're with. Lee, Captain, would you please introduce?
Melanie Manier. I'm the jail's Healthcare Administrative Services Manager.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair Smith and Commissioners. Good to see you today. So we are asking for to be placed on the consent agenda and approved for service contract with EverHealth. As the Commissioners are aware, the Sheriff's Office is responsible for providing legally required medical, dental, and pharmaceutical and mental health services to those in custody. Obviously, that is becoming an even greater burden on the system as the individuals that come into our custody have more medical issues as time has gone on. Currently, about 34% have chronic medical care that is required. We also have a large percentage, at least 37% currently right in the jail are on mental health medications. And so it's an even larger task for us as we continue to move forward in incarceration. So we are asking for the board today to approve this comprehensive correctional contract to provide those services in the jail through EverHealth. So we appreciate that.
Thank you. Is EverHealth a relatively new provider of medical care to the jail?
No, they're actually a subsidiary of NAVCare, which we've utilized in the past.
Excuse me, I didn't hear that.
Of NAVCare is
They're
their,
a subset of NAVCare, because NAVCare has been point of controversy recently. Commissioner Savas.
Yeah, along those same lines, I am, how many other organizations bid for this?
they were the only one that bid for this contract.
Is that it, Commissioner Savas?
Yeah, that's a little concerning, but, all right. I I think my colleagues are aware that, we've had some
Yep.
incidences in the past, maybe where we didn't get the best advice, so I'm just kind of concerned about what we can do to improve upon that. Is there anything in this contract that is a improvement?
Yeah, we've made sure that within the contract, we have language for oversight and auditing purposes of not only the contract, but the services that are being provided within the jail. We have a yearly audit that occurs through a third-party outside vendor that audits the type of care given. And we also have, every 3 years, the National Commission on Correctional Health Care that comes in and also audits our jail and our medical services that we provide. So we're ensuring that we have, in addition to Ms. Manier, who oversees and watches the services, we also have outside providers coming in to make sure we have a third-party review of all of our services provided.
Was risk management involved? I know I'm struggling with that this morning. Were they involved in this at all? Risk management?
In the procurement?
Yeah.
No, county council was involved, along with some of our internal, and obviously we've had discussions with risk management before with this type of services and auditing functions that we do within the jail.
Okay, well, I'll have some follow-up questions, I guess, after this meeting about that.
Yep.
Thank you. Commissioner West?
I have some experience here. I worked at Oregon State Penitentiary as a nurse in corrections. And have heard a couple things that and I've asked for like some policies and procedures about how certain situations are handled within a medical setting within the jail. I'm concerned about how we measure healthcare outcomes and the competency of the nursing staff specifically within the prison and their confidence to work within the full scope of their licensure in a competent way that not only produces good health outcomes, but also ensures the respect and the team building within the correctional officers that work inside the jail. It's not totally, it's not fleshed out that some of our correctional officers are concerned with the quality of nursing that is actually delivered or health care and their ability to respond in an emergent crisis situation and lend their expertise in a confident way if something happens within that setting. I'm concerned also with Commissioner Savas's, what is the oversight? Also, I think it's the same thing. Why was there only one? Are we really making sure we're providing the right type of quality health care that mitigates risk to the county? There's been a lot of risk here, I feel like, and I'm not confident right now that that we're getting. I'm not super confident in the outcomes and I don't have. There's more discussion to happen here for me, but I'm not super confident right now with the healthcare outcomes we're getting in the jail setting.
Okay. Commissioner Scholl?
Yes, Captain Abby. Looks like about 9 million of this 32 million comes from the public safety local option levy. When that levy was first thought about before it passed, was this a cost that was going to be used for that? Was planned for this use?
Yes, services for inmates within the public safety levy, part of that comes out of the levy services.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Schrader?
Yeah, what do other counties, who do they contract with, do you know? I mean, is this like a group that contracts across the whole metro region? And does Washington County use them? Does Multnomah County, who?
So Washington County uses them also.
Okay,
Multnomah County uses their county health.
Yeah, Multnomah County uses their own county health services for the jail.
okay.
A large number of jails across Oregon do a mixture of county-funded services or county-provided services versus contracted health services.
And we're solely contracted.
and we're solely contracted.
I'm curious how that hybrid might look. I mean, Multnomah County, what makes them, so they have their own
They have
folks
their own
on-
correctional health division as part of the Multnomah County Public Health Department,
Okay,
and that has been in place for decades.
okay, thank you.
Commissioner West?
It's been my experience that contracted work like this isn't always the best health outcomes, and they don't have the same stake that they would internally. I'm concerned about health outcomes and the actual practice of healthcare in the setting. Why do we not have either a hybrid model that Commissioner Schrader alluded to, or why do we not have it in-house totally, where we can provide better oversight and monitoring of what's going on?
Years ago, when the decision was made to go to a vendor, was based on the notion that we had internal and could not reach the health outcomes that were necessary. We would not reach the National Health Correctional Care Healthcare standards.
Is it a staffing issue?
It was staffing and cost.
Cost.
In all honesty. The board at the time asked for us to look at the cost, which was rising, but we weren't meeting the standards. It wasn't until we actually went with an outside vendor who had more resources where we were able to get accredited both for NCCHC for healthcare services, but also for OTP, opioid treatment program. We're the only jail in Oregon that is certified.
I will make a comment regarding Multnomah County, in that they're very heavily invested in social services and have been for decades. And they have the infrastructure in place to do this. And let's face it, Multnomah County's portfolio is very small in the amount of services compared to Clackamas County. I really don't see how our public health department can go in and develop a hybrid model at this point. I think that's going to require just a huge amount of expenditures, time and energy, and we're going to find out quite possibly that the contracted services are the best. I am concerned with Commissioner Savas as the only one applied, but also not unlike our ambulance service. There's only one ambulance provider out there, so I think we just need to, gingerly go along and continue with what we're doing on this. And I do appreciate the concerns on this. See no objections. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, Transportation and Development. Item 1, approval of a board order accepting right-of-way and simultaneously vacating a portion of Red House Road. No fiscal impact. No county general funds are involved. Dan Johnson, Director of Transportation and Development. Go ahead.
Chair Smith, Commissioners, this is a pretty simple action. Back in 1901, basically Red House Road was open to the public. It just was outside of the right-of-way. So essentially, we have a recent request for a partition application. As you can see on the back of your map, of your packet, there's a map back here that identifies basically where the right-of-way was for Red House and where we look to correct it and put it in the actual area where the road has travels. There's no money associated with this. We vacate our portion where the road isn't, and we get the portion where the road is. That's all it's about. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
I know people who live on Red House Road,
Well, now they're going to be able to travel down the road, and it's going to be in the right-of-way.
and I'm sure they're going to notice a
There we go.
difference. Not, thank you very much, Dan. Commissioner West?
Quick, because it's not on this item. I'll be super quick, and I want to ask you to opine on it here today. On that section of road between Tews and Graham's Ferry and up to, that we talked about
Yes.
on the replacement. Can you give me an update on that today? Because I know you guys went out and looked at it.
Can't give you an update right now, but I know Mike.
Email me or whatever, reach out to me.
We plan on following up.
Perfect,
We've got,
thank you.
yep. Shane Abbott's out took a well-deserved vacation, but Mike Besser's going to go out there and take a look at it.
Awesome, appreciate it, thank you.
Yeah, I see no objections. Thank you. Gary, what's next?
Item 2, approval of an amendment increasing annual not-to-exceed limits of a contract with Tyree Oil for fuel services. The amendment value is $4.5 million. Total contract value is increased to $22.5 million for 9 years, funding through Fleet Services user fees. No county general funds are involved.
Fleet coordinates the acquisition of fuel for all the county departments. They've gone through an RFP process for this. Essentially, Tyree Oil is basically our current provider. I'm not sure how much you've been driving around and noticed the cost of fuel out there. Yes, it's gone up. So essentially, this amendment retains all the existing base components of the contract, contains the ability to extend it. That's why the totality of the dollars are so much, because basically it's over like a nine-year period, give or take. It only increases the annual fuel acquisition from $2 to $2.5 million. And know that basically these are pass-through dollars, so our departments, transportation maintenance, CCSO, fleet, et cetera, are able to operate off this contract, and then basically they are billed for the amount of gas that they are used. So there's no direct money coming out of fleet for this. It's a bill back to those departments for the gas they need to operate. So happy to answer any questions you might have.
Seeing no questions and no objections, thank you.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank you. The finance items will be pulled until next week. Next, Health, Housing, Human Services. Item 1, approval of an amendment expanding the scope of work, extending the term, and increasing the value of a contract with Clackamas Service Center for outreach and engagement for on-call emergency services. The amendment value is $290,149 for 1 year. Total contract value is increased to $476,649 for 1.67 years. Funding is through the Supportive Housing Services measure. No county general funds are involved. Rod Cook, Director of Health, Housing, Human Services. Go ahead.
Good morning, Commissioners. Clackamas Service Center is a nonprofit organization in Clackamas County. In addition to being a starting point for coordinated housing access, Clackamas Service Center offers various services such as food, groceries, hot showers, access to mail, clothes, links to health providers, recommendations for benefits and resources, and more. They work with several local organizations to connect people who are homeless or at risk of becoming homeless with resources and help them get the services they need. With this new proposal, they'll be able to serve an additional 300 families.
Wow, great. Questions or comments? Seeing no objections, thank you.
Item 2, approval of an amendment increasing funding and duration of a local subrecipient blueprint grant with Trudos Juntos for the Blueprint for a Healthy Clackamas Ready Smile program. Amendment value is $29,707.60 for 1 year. Total agreement value increased to $74,144.57 for 3 years. Funding is through fiscal year 2022 restricted fund balance in Health, Housing, Human Services. No county general funds are involved.
Rural communities in Clackamas County have limited access to dental care. This grant will reduce health disparities by promoting proper care from birth. This grant will allow for the delivery of oral health education about prevention care to 800 children, youth, and families in Estacada, Malala, and Sandy, of which 100 are preschool aged, 120 fifth graders in Sandy Grade School, 80 children in pre-K Estacada, and 400 sixth graders.
Questions or comments? Commissioner West?
Can you just tell me a little bit who Todos Juntos is, that organization?
It's a nonprofit organization that's operated in Clackamas County probably 20 or 30 years at this point.
Okay.
And they typically have been the nonprofit that will go to the rural sites. So in all cases, they're the ones who are out in Estacada, Malala, Sandy.
Okay.
Camden.
Do they do fluoride work with this kids like in school? Is that part of what they do? I remember as a kid in kindergarten, they would make us swish with fluoride to help us have strong teeth. Maybe it's different
I
now,
know
but.
that program. I'm not sure if this is that particular one, but I do know when I was in Children and Families, we had a program where we had dental, and they would come out and do the fluoride.
And they go into school and work with
Yes,
the kids on it?
yes.
Okay.
Commissioner Scholl?
Yes, I just want to confirm that this does include a visit to the dentist for those children that really need it, correct?
It's having the conversation with the parents and the kids
About the
to
need.
move them towards dental, yes.
Okay, but it doesn't include actual dentistry.
No.
Okay.
No, Todos Juntos doesn't provide dental services.
Well, I know they don't, but they don't refer children.
They would refer,
They would
yes.
refer, okay,
Yes.
good,
It's
thanks.
just making that contact. Sometimes it's through fluoride, sometimes it's through passing out toothbrushes. Have that conversation about getting them involved with regular dental care.
Okay.
Seeing no objections, thank you.
Item 3, approval of a revenue agreement with Care Oregon for outreach services. The anticipated value is $227,256 for 10 months. Funding is through Care Oregon. No county general funds are involved.
Yeah, this is one of those incentive grants. So the objective of this funding is to get the unengaged members of Care Oregon more involved and increase the utilization of preventive care. The more members that seek preventative care within the primary care home, the higher the likelihood they will have lower costs and healthier outcomes and managed health conditions. So this is a win-win for us. The more we bring in patients, get them involved with other services and preventative care, we get, I don't want to use the word kickback, but we receive funds from Care Oregon to do that work. And so it's a revenue source for us to do that. And the patient then ends up with being tied to more preventative care for diabetes, those type of things.
Questions or comments? Seeing no objections.
Item 4, approval to apply for a funding opportunity with the Oregon Higher Education Coordinating Commission for Round 2 Workforce Ready grants to increase the capacity of Clackamas County Workforce Services Unit. The grant value is up to $1.6 million for 2.7 years. Funding is through the Oregon Department of Human Services. No county general funds are involved.
Yes, and this is just approval to apply for an application. Children and Families Division is working with Clackamas Community College to expand the county's workforce in manufacturing, healthcare, and technology sectors. The objective of the program is to close skill gaps between employers and job seekers by creating fast-track career pathways, strengthening outreach, and hiring staff to meet increased demand. So this is a great partnership between us and the community college. We have a large flow of people who are looking for jobs. They have a need for actual students to get in their programs at the community college. So that together, we're going to be able to really serve the community in a better way.
Commissioner Schrader.
Yeah, so Rod, is this in collaboration at all with Clackamas Workforce Partnership, or it's really just our folks with the community college?
The college and Children and Families are part of CWP. They're the partners in CWP, but this is not CWP applying. This is the college and the county applying.
All right, thank you.
Seeing no objections, thank you.
Item 5, approval of a revenue agreement with Care Oregon for the Primary Care Payment Model Program. Agreement value is $1,630,000 for 1 year. Funding is through Care Oregon. No county general funds are involved.
Yes, this is another one where Care Oregon offers payment incentives to organizations qualified as patient-centered primary. Health Center Division is eligible for monthly revenue generated per member depending on the achievement level at Beaver Creek, Sunnyside, Gladstone, and Sandy. Health Center Division collaborates with Care Oregon to enhance member community health through outpatient preventative services, quality reimbursement models, and financial support. Based on program applications and membership assignment volume, participating clinics may receive incentive payment in several focus areas. Clinical quality being one of those, behavioral health integration being another, oral health being another, integration being another. So again, it's that incentive to get, when someone walks through the door, we're going to do it in a holistic point. We're not just going to deal with what you walked in with, but we may ask you, how's your dental going? How's your behavioral health going? And all those type of things.
Thank you. Commissioner West.
Is this really getting us better in alignment with like value-based care and not fee-for-service?
Yes, sir.
Absolutely fantastic and important. Thanks.
Thank you. Seeing no further questions and no objections, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All of these items will be on this Thursday's business meeting agenda for your final action, commissioners. Next, courthouse letter to Oregon State leadership. Chris Lyons, Government Affairs Manager, Public and Government Affairs, will present. There is a draft letter in your packet. There was some version control issues, so online does have the most latest version, and I believe you were handed a copy this morning, commissioners. Go ahead,
We were
Chris.
just handed a tweet copy, but it's really similar to this.
Whatever you were handed this morning is the same copy that's online, so
Okay, thank you.
that's the right version.
Okay.
So before, Chris, you start, I want to say how this came about. Several weeks ago, when I had a conversation with the governor at my behest, I asked if she would please go ahead and make sure she approved the courthouse funding and another bill, and we had a very good conversation. And the first thing she said was, well, now, wait a minute, it's $30 million. Didn't you ask for $60 million? I says, yes, we were not given it. And she says, well, why? She says, that's not right. She says, Clackamas must have the entire $60 million. And I says, well, I understand that. And we talked about the reasons why. We went back and forth. And she says, I would recommend you do this. Hence the letter. And this letter is very good. And it's had several different eyes in different departments on it. And so the first step in the strategy, Chris, is to send this letter. And then I will be following up or whatever we decide, I will definitely be following up on our strategy to go forward and continue with the financing. The governor made a very good point, and that was this. She says, look, there's precedents for the legislature for 3 times funding. Multnomah County did it. And she's also said, what incentive do the other counties have to go ahead with their courthouses if the legislature is going to pull the rug out from underneath them in the middle of construction? It's basically what happened here. We do have allies in the House and the Senate. Senator Meek is very interested in making sure this happens. I am confident in this, but we will continue in our efforts on this. Commissioners, I would like discussion on this and our eventual approval. Commissioner Savas?
Yeah, Chair, there is one error in here, and that is, it's the first paragraph, and I'm just going to read it, and I'll emphasize what I see as wrong. So on the first, or the second sentence, I believe, second sentence starts with, while we are appreciative of the funding contained within HB 5005, comma, it represents less than half of the state's share. Well, technically, it's actually the remaining share. It's not half the amount. So I think it's important to make sure we get it right. So if the word remaining is added in there, or the remaining, or stating the 62 million of the ask, and, 30 million is, but something in there that qualifies that.
Yeah, I
because
agree.
they already paid for more than half.
Yeah, and I noticed that too. I was going to bring it up, and thank you for bringing that up, Commissioner Savas. That needs to be tweaked a little bit.
Yes, we
'Cause
can
it-
add remaining. I think that corrects it.
Yeah, so, yeah, we can tweak that particular language on that. Appreciate it. We've had some, the second paragraph, there were some additions to that which were very good. Moving ahead on this, any other comments from commissioners on this? Commissioner West?
Yeah, I totally agree with that change, Commissioner Savas, good catch. Second paragraph is on point. I think this is a great move, and I'm glad that we have the support of the governor and of Senator Meeks. In our Senator Meeks just held a couple town halls, and in those town halls, he seemed very resolute in helping us get those fundings, even if it's in the short session coming up, so it continues to be a priority. So hopefully we won't even have to wait till the long session. And we're taking a tour later today. That thing is being built.
Yeah.
So let's finish the commitment and get her done. So I appreciate this, and good job, PGA, on helping to draft this. And yeah, I like that second paragraph a lot. Thank you.
Thank you. The signatures are all 5 commissioners, correct?
That's what we proposed.
Yeah, it's not on this particular draft that I clicked on, but that's okay. Do I hear a motion?
Move to approve with edits.
Second.
Commissioner Savas has moved to approve with edits the letter regarding the courthouse to legislative leadership, and we will CC the governor as well on this. Thank you very much. With all 5 commissioners' signatures, and Commissioner Schrader has seconded the motion. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Tony, please take the poll.
Commissioner West,
Aye.
Commissioner Schull,
Aye.
Commissioner Schrader,
Aye.
Commissioner Savas,
Aye.
Chair Smith.
Aye, motion passes 5-0. Thank you very much, and thank you,
Thank you.
Chris.
We'll get the letter out today.
Okay.
Thank you. Next, Commissioners, the Clackamas County Audit Committee. This is the Financial Audit Committee, has 3 openings for public members. And this is a committee you've asked that you'd like to interview the applicants before final decisions come forward. So I'm asking today, which of you would like to participate in the interview of 3 candidates for the Audit Committee?
I would.
Anyone else?
If you need a second, I'd be happy to.
We don't need to, but it's welcome if you'd like to.
It's up to you, Commissioners.
Yeah, not necessary then.
I'll join in.
Okay.
Paul?
Commissioner Savas, anyone else?
I think it's plenty. I don't think you need.
I recommend Savas and Smith.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Chair Smith and Commissioner Savas will be the 2 to interview the candidates, and we'll coordinate that with you offline. Thank you. Next, Advisory Board and Commission appointments. Tony, go ahead, please.
Clackamas Workforce Partnership through a recruitment, let me start that whole thing over again. Clackamas Workforce Partnership currently has 5 openings on their commission due to member retirements and resignations. Through a recruitment process, 4 applications were received, 3 are recommended for appointment. Recommendations are Gordon Harvey to a 3rd term, Tracy Rumpka to a 2nd term, and Michelle LaCoy to a 1st term.
Thank you very much. I will entertain a motion.
I move approval of the appointees to Clackamas Workforce Partnership.
Seconded.
Commissioner Schrader has moved for the appointment of Clackamas Workforce Partnership of Gordon Harvey, Tracy Rumpka, and Michelle LaCroix, and Commissioner Scholl has seconded the motion. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Tony, please take the poll.
Commissioner Savas,
Aye.
Commissioner West,
Aye.
Commissioner Scholl,
Aye.
Commissioner Schrader,
Aye.
Chair Smith.
Aye, motion passes 5-0. Thank you very much.
Next, review of your board business meeting agenda for this Thursday, July 20th, 2023 at 10 a.m. You have all the consent agenda items you discussed today. We'll go forward to that meeting. And you'll have 3 public hearings. They are all boundary change requests and annexations to the Clackamas River Water District, to Water Environment Services, and the Sunrise Water District. If you have any questions on any item, please let me know prior to Thursday, and staff is happy to answer it for you. Final item today, Chair, is Commissioner Communications.
Commissioner Communications, Commissioner West, you're up first.
Nothing that I need to really speak to today. I'll just kind of hold it for later in the week.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Schrader.
Yeah, I had a really busy weekend. Went to the Oak Grove Community Fair, which was really fun. And I put up a little video because they were selling bee boxes there for leafcutter bees. So I have a new video, right? So I have the box, I let the bees, and these are a species that emerge this time of year. Mason bees are the spring bees, which emerge in March. So I'll have 2 species of bees in my yard as Brian, you can actually, the place that supplied the bees themselves, they're in their little cocoons, pupae, and really they come in a little container, and so you just open it up and off they go with, the heat and everything, and they start making their nest. So that was kind of fun. I was that, and I saw folks in the library there, had a wonderful chat with Thelma. Thelma was there, and just saw a bunch of folks. It was really fun. I was amazed at the size and the scope of it, really, and I think it's one of the bigger ones they've had yet. And the next place I went was to the First City celebration here down in downtown Oregon City, where I connected with the Willamette Falls Locks. Actually, the Willamette Falls Heritage Group that's attempting to do that umbrella where we're getting hopefully a national heritage designation west of the Mississippi, and that was pretty good, and stopped off to have some iced tea and pizza at one of the local restaurants there, so that was great too. And on Sunday, I did attend the Pride Parade with staff, and it was fun going there, and we walked, we cheered, we carried banners and ribbons, and it was a fun time for all of us to do that. So that was my weekend, and now I'm hopefully getting to all the meetings this week, and then I think that Commissioner West and I are going to be heading out to
We are.
Texas to look at recovery centers.
Get
So,
some barbecue.
hey,
Barbecue in Texas, okay. Yeah, Commissioner Savas, you're up.
Yeah, just briefly, in interest of time, I'll be really brief. I wish I could have attended. I had a family commitment that ended up consuming and
yeah,
conflicting, ultimately, unexpected to some degree. Hope it went well, and first one I've missed,
yeah, I know.
and the biggest one, I'm sure.
We kept looking for you there, but
Yeah, I know.
we figured you had something
I
else.
was hoping to be able to make it, but things went longer than I thought. Difficult weekend, but.
Yeah.
Yes, I think we all have family considerations, by the way. Is that it, Commissioner Savas? Thank you. Commissioner Scholl, you're up.
Yes, Friday, I was in Hillsborough at the Washington County offices for the Council of Forest Trust Lands meeting for District 3, which is composed of Columbia, Washington, and Clackamas counties. The CFTLC is charged with protecting the contractual relationship between the CFTLC counties and the state of Oregon. There are 19 counties in the Council of Forest Trust Lands with 729,000 acres managed by ODF. But in Clackamas County, of that, we only have 7,266 acres, which is right at the northern end of the Santiam Forest. So Friday, ODF presented some ideas on the new forest management plan, and some of the concerns I presented was, will the forest management plan have a focus on removal of dead trees, fuel reduction, and replanting areas burned in 2020? Will the FMP have an adaptive management focus? And will the overlay for prime habitat, which is a restricted harvest area, be adjusted in light of the 2020 fires? So we will see the draft FMP come out from ODF next month. In September, we'll have an ODF meeting on the draft FMP and an adaptive management plan. November will be a meeting with ODF on the outcomes of the modeling scenarios, and then finally next spring in 2024, we'll be receiving the final forest management plan. So that was my meeting on Friday. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Later this afternoon, this Board of County Commissioners and staff will be touring our courthouse facility under construction, and that's going to be a lot of fun. Expect pictures. It'll be great. Wednesday night, we have our meeting with the North Clackamas Parks and Recreation District at 6 a.m. at the Concord Community Center. Looking forward to that and meeting with the folks in the community, giving a progress report on all the exciting things we're doing. Look forward to that, Commissioners. Gary, are you seeing no further business?
No further business.
Thank you. We are adjourned.
Gary, question for you. On the